Welcome to Standing on Business with Eric Foss. I'm your host, Eric Foss. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Standing on Business with Eric Foss. I'm your host, Eric Foss. As you guys can see, my face is starting to heal, so that's pretty good for the new year. But anyway, we're going to bring the new year in. We're going to talk about somebody. We're going to talk about a friend of mine, Frankie Diepietro. Give you a little back history on Frankie. Okay, when Frankie was back in his day, you know, in the streets or whatever, which he still, I guess you could say, is in the streets. But anyway, when he started out, he was around a lot of Lucchese guys, I believe. And what he was Frankie broke into banks and things like that. He was like a robber, you know, with the burner. He'll use that also, like an armed robber. But he was also like, when we would sit down and talk, he would tell me how they broke into the banks and stuff like that, like drilled holes, like stuff you see in the movies and stuff. So that's what he did. Well, when we met, he was doing a 20-year sentence, a global plea, because he unalived an informant. So basically, I think it was like 6 or 7 of them guys on that case, and they all agreed on 20 years or whatever. So that's when I met little Frankie. So anyway, he goes by a couple names. He goes by Skip. That's on the street. That's his nickname or whatever. And it also carried over to the joint too, because I remember one time, Andy, the guy from Jersey, I don't know Andy's his name, but he's I think a Gambino guy from Jersey. He came up to the unit and he seen me. He's like, "E, have you seen Skip?" So Frankie slept in the unit right next to mine. Like I was on this side, he was on that side. So I'm like, "I don't know who Skip is." He's like, "Man, Frankie." I'm like, "Oh, okay." So that was his nickname or whatever. Now, when we were in there, he still hung around mainly the Lucchese guys, and he hung out with Frankie Bones and Jimmy Gallione, Jimmy Frogs. Now, Frankie Bones and Jimmy Frogs, they were basically kind of like to their self, put it that way. Like Frankie Bones carried himself a different way. You could tell Frankie Bones was the upper echelon guy. And, you know, Jimmy is, you know, his man, you know what I'm saying, his buddy. But anyway, Frankie used to hang with them all the time, which was weird. And this is how you know Frankie's such a good dude, is because they didn't like a lot of nonsense around them. And when I tell you Frankie was nonsense, he was nonsense. I mean, Frankie got into fights. I remember one time, it was actually Jimmy Frogs and Frankie. I don't know what happened, but they jumped this Irish guy named Joe. And the Irish guy was tough too. They were actually scrapping. They were fighting all through the yard up at Rec and stuff like that. They locked them all up. And then, so like Frankie liked to gamble. That was his thing. And I had a ticket and stuff like that. So he would always come put his bets in late. And another nickname he used was the Flash. You know what I mean? That's what he would put on his betting slips and stuff like that. So anyway, though, he was like, when I say controversial in the joint, I mean like he was in the mix. And that's the thing. Frankie Bones and them, they would have to bail him out sometimes of stuff. But I mean, Frankie was like, he was just fun. He's the type, he would show up. I'm sitting in the cell. Next thing you know, he sneaks over to my unit. We're in there drinking. He shows up. Motherfucker. He's in there doing shots with us and everything like that. We're talking sports, smoking cigarettes. You know what I mean? He was that kind of guy, man. He was fun as hell. But like I said, he would get into a lot of shit because, look, he's a little dude, but he's got balls and he's got heart and he's got a little bit of a mouth on him. Like, he'll talk shit back and forth with people. Like, you know, he'd mix it up with the black dudes, everybody. You know what I mean? So Frankie was cool like that. And to really judge what type of person he must be is they kept him around. And believe me, they didn't like all that attention and stuff like that. But, you know, they had a lot of love for Frankie. Which now, like I said, they were apparently Lucchese's or whatever. So now when I seen a few months back, I seen Frankie just got, a couple years ago, got 10 more years after he got out for some armed robberies or something like that. And it says that he got his button with the Genovese, which I always thought he was, you know, I don't know. You know what I mean? How it actually works. But you know what I mean? Shout out to you, little Frankie, if you got your button. The reason why I say that, guys, look, I don't know if he did or not. It's alleged. But we used to joke. This is the type of relationship we had. We used to joke around. Like, if I'm walking around the track and I see Frankie out there with Frankie Bones and Jimmy Frogs, I pull Frankie to the side when they walked away or whatever. Like, yeah, motherfucker, I see you trying to get your button. Then he'd do the same thing to me, like when I was hanging out with Junior, when I was walking around with like Junior Napoli. He was the chapter president of Breed or whatever. So Frankie he'd yell right across the road, "Hey, I see you're trying to get your motherfucking patch." So he was a crazy dude like that. He was just funny as hell. Frankie actually saved me from definitely saved me at least a year of prison time and possibly a street charge. And here's how this happened. So I think I told this story before, but Frankie is the one that actually saved me and found the supposed knife. There were some things going on with Tony Aiello or whatever, and just problem on the yard. It's going to be some headaches, and I'm riding with Tony Aiello. Now, I'm not I don't like to be made out of some tough guy or whatever like that, but trust me, the other side, they didn't want me. They didn't want me riding with Tony, and you know what I mean. So it was like some of the Italians with Tony and me, you know what I mean. So they tried to get rid of me. So what they do, one morning I go up to rec to work out. So I got a gym bag, so I sit my gym bag down. Now I lift my weights, whatever, boom, 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 whatever we do, and then we go off and do pull-ups, cardio, whatever we're doing. Now I leave my gym bag sitting there. Now, it's almost recall. You know what I mean? They make an announcement to return all the equipment. That's like 15, 20 minutes before recall. So when they make that announcement, you start getting your shit together, putting the weights up, whatever. So I actually go ahead. I get done with my cardio or whatever. I grab my bag, and I look up where the bench is where all the Italian guys hang. It was called Barnaby Hill or something. I forget what the name was, but I used to hang up there myself. So, you walk up there, you might see a Huck out there, anybody, any of the Italian guys like that you guys hear on here, they would all be sitting out there, and I'd sit out there with them and stuff. So this day, it was Richie Gotti, Frankie Diepietro, Frankie Diepietro, Huck, I believe, was there, and Peter Plyer. Rest in peace, Petey. That was my dude. He was up there as he was working out. And Vito Guzzo might have been up there too on this day because it was everybody working out. So as I get up to Barnaby Hill, they're all sitting. I see all them sitting up there as I'm walking up. So I go over and, drop my bag. So I'm going to hang out with them for 20 minutes or whatever, and we'll all walk back. So as I sit my bag down, we're all just shooting the shit, talking or whatever. All of a sudden, little Frankie looks down. He's like, E, what the fuck? I said, what are you talking about, Frankie? Crazy little motherfucker. So he's like, what the hell is this? He reaches in my bag and pulls out this big, screw that was sharpened and had tape around it. Something. It's not even something I would use. But at the end of the day, somebody put that in my bag so that when I come back, see, when we leave the yard and we head back to the unit, we have to go through a metal detector. So I would have had that, and that would have beep, beep, beep. So then they check your bag. Now, I don't know if the law would have applied because it is a law that it's a street charge and it will give you 2 or 3 years if a weapon like that's found on your person. I don't know if that would have counted as my person. But anyway, I was going to the halfway house in 3 months. Okay? And I got 8 months of halfway house. So I would have lost my halfway house, at least lost my halfway house, just for getting caught with that. Forget the street charge. I would have lost my halfway house, which would have been 8 months. I would have lost probably two months good time to lock up or whatever. That would have cost me at least a year. Okay? That's the best case scenario. So I got to give Frankie big props for that. Frankie just, because he's real quick. He's just always moving. Got into some fights. Like I said, that him and Jimmy Frogs, they got into the thing in the yard with the Irish guy. And then he was fighting a Mexican. He was fighting a gangbanger. Frankie was at commissary. And he wound up. It's weird because, look, I was just came out of the shoe because somebody planted a knife in our cell with me and Larry. Somebody did that. I wound up beating the shot. Larry wound up taking the shot because they were trying to get rid of him. This is how treacherous this place is. I'll get in all that stuff one day. But anyway, once again, a fake knife was planted. But anyway, so me and Larry were so buddies in the shoe. So when Larry took the shot, I got out of the shoe, obviously. So because Larry had to plead guilty. One of us had to plead guilty, and Larry had 10 years left. So Larry's like, I know they planted that in there for me, so I'll plead guilty. So anyway, so I come out to the compound. So a day later, Frankie gets into the fight at commissary with the gangbanger, and Frankie winds up in the same cell I was, cellies with Larry in the shoe, because when we would walk around, and listen, every morning he's yelling, because you can yell to the rec yard from the shoe, I know the fuck you're out there. Hey, he's yelling for Frankie, but I mean, he's yelling for everybody. So I think he got like 30 days or something for that. And then he got out. Like, he was the type of dude, like, with that situation, everybody just knew that was Frankie. And like, even the Mexicans and all knew it was Frankie or whatever. Big deal. That was just a little, this was an FCI. Like, the penitentiary, you wouldn't really see something like that happen, but I don't even know what it was over, but they were at commissary, and next thing you know, Frankie and the gangbanger were fighting. And Frankie was a little dude, but like I said, he was scrappy, he's tough. Really down to earth, liked to party, always in the mix, loved to gamble. He used to run around with a guy named Mikey Bloom. That was his boy, an Irish guy. Mikey Bloom, I believe he's from same area, what is it, Staten Island? Is that it? I believe. I get them confused. Long Island. Yeah, Staten Island. Mikey Bloom, little short Irish guy, crazy little bastard. We'll talk about him too. I mean, he was cool, real down to earth, but he was nuts. You could tell. But that was Frankie's dude. They were like that. You know what I mean? So that's who Frankie really messed with, was Frankie Bones and Jimmy Frogs and Mikey Bloom. I guess him and Mikey Bloom were together on the streets as kids and everything like that, because they used to sit around and joke, and Frankie would tell me jokes, stuff about Mikey Bloom and things like that. Frankie was real open, if he was your friend, he was your friend, he was cool. A lot of the guys, like I said, a lot of the mob guys and stuff, they would think he's nuts, and they were like, man, keep this guy away from me, because I can actually see that. But that's how I judged Frankie. I said, well, he must be a really good person for Frankie Bones to keep him around. Because Frankie Bones and Jimmy Frogs, they were like kind of like the stuck-up ones. You know what I mean? So, yeah, that's how Frankie Diepietro was. And that's how he is. He's always going to be little Frankie. And that's my man. If he got that button, my man. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, all around, he's one of the funnest dudes, man. Truthfully, me, him, and Pete, we would sit around, and we would make fun of a lot of people. Just put it that way. Me, him, and Pete Plyer would make fun of a lot of people. He would always come over and because Jimmy Coonan was on the unit. So Jimmy Coonan, Tony Aiello and stuff. So Frankie would come over and go, and Tony was my celly. So Frankie would always come over and mess with them guys and stuff too. And they thought, they liked Frankie, but Frankie's a nut. Little Frankie is not. Jimmy, yeah, he's nuts. I'm like, you calling him nuts, huh? But anyway, they were all cool. You know what I mean? So, all right, guys. I'm going to wrap this up. I might do a live tonight if I go out or anything like that. I just wanted to drop you guys some content. I haven't been on in a couple days. Had some little personal things going on with my face and everything like that. But anyway, guys, I'm back in full effect. Remember, like, share, and subscribe, guys. Let's blow this channel up. Like I said, I might go live tonight. We're going to start doing a lot more stuff, man. I got to put this together for 2025. So just hang with me, guys, and you know what I mean? We're going to make this the best damn channel, the best damn community there is. All right, guys. Until next time, just remember, always stand on business.